Fought for her life after being gunned down in a Plaza Azteca Mexican restaurant back on May 18th. We found out today she died this morning.
Tonight we've learned the fundraiser planned in Perham for Lucia Garcia and her baby Dominique is still on. Valley News Team's Alex Larson has our story.
Just anything we can do to help out.
Father Tom Skaya is an associate pastor at St. Henry's Catholic Church. He knows the Garcia family well and says the congregation was praying for Lucia to pull through. After being shot inside Plaza Azteca 2 weeks ago, the 21-year-old mother passed away from her injuries early Thursday morning. Her baby, 7-month-old Dominique, who was also shot by his father, is expected to make a full recovery.
Like it just like tears you apart, right? And just like it's got, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, I think their faith is just super, you know, it's important to them, right? And just like that in the thick of all of it, right? Like they know the Lord, and that this community too is with them.
When a relative brought up the idea of a fundraiser, Father Tom says he didn't waste any time setting it up, and it will go on as planned, as the family still needs funds to help pay for their mounting medical costs. There will be authentic Mexican food, a bake sale, and a silent auction. Father Tom says those close to the family helping him organize it are busy getting donations from local businesses.
This whole fundraiser is just a tiny gesture, you know, from the parish family to the Garcia family, because it's just such a horrible situation, right? But this is just wanting to give them a glimpse that they're not alone.
Father Tom says it's important for the congregation and community to let the Garcia family know they care and that Lucia will not be forgotten.
Such tragic news hearing about Lucia's passing, but we're still going to have the fundraiser and just to help out the family with the medical costs, funeral costs, whatever, to show that support.
In Perham, Alex Larson, Valley News Live.
And that fundraiser will be next Sunday, June 12th, from 11 to 1 at the St. Henry Catholic Church basement in Perham.
The man who police say shot Lucia Garcia and baby Dominique, Malik Gill, had a violent criminal history in both North Dakota and Minnesota. At the time of the shooting, a warrant was out for his arrest related to a domestic assault involving Garcia. She also had a no-contact order in place against him. Experts say knowing the signs of domestic violence and the available resources is vitally important.
Some signs to look for is like controlling behaviors within relationships. You know, not wanting to speak about their partner, maybe not having access to phones or basic needs, maybe not coming around as much or not wanting to speak about their current happenings in their life are some red flags we can look for.
Resources like the Rape and Abuse Crisis Center's 24/7 hotline and the National Domestic Violence Hotline are available on our VNL News app and at valleynewslive.com. Just click on this story.
All right, let's switch gears now. Talk about the weather outside. Still some remnants of sunlight. What had been a windy day, but not a bad day, Hutch.
No, not a bad day at all. We did have areas that had wide-ranging temperatures with 70s down in the Southern Valley. We saw 50s up north, but we can all agree a gorgeous sunset. If you look carefully up by the banner there, you can see the sliver of the moon, the little thumbnail making its way into the scene. You're looking out at Grand Forks, home of economy location. Here's a look at those winds. They did peak at 40 to 50 miles per hour, even better than that in Minot for many. And temperatures today much warmer in the south, where we had 76 in Sisseton. Was only 55 today for a peak in Roseau County. A few sprinkles up north along the border. The clouds remain for many areas up there, although we're going to start to see those decreasing tonight. Temperatures already in the mid 40s for north central Minnesota. And look at this, low 40s in Langdon. We're not far from the 30s. I think we'll see some 30s overnight tonight. 50s still here in the Southern Valley. Your planner for Fargo shows temperatures falling as our wind is finally starting to settle down a bit. We'll be in the low 40s to start our morning here briefly. And up north, we could see some of you in the mid to upper 30s. That means frost cannot be ruled out. Of hour-by-hour details, what you can expect for a pretty fabulous Friday forecast, and we'll look at that weekend here in a moment.
All right, thanks, Hutch.
Look at the faces. These are not class graduation pictures. They're dead children. Just like the dead grocery store shoppers in Buffalo or the people simply seeking a medical appointment in Tulsa?
That's Representative Sheila Lee from Texas calling for action tonight, shortly followed by similar calls from the president.
President Biden delivered a primetime televised address tonight after those several mass shootings that shook the nation and also rekindled the national debate on gun reform. Skylar Henry has the latest from Capitol Hill, where lawmakers are discussing several proposals.
President Biden is calling for action after a wave of large-scale mass shootings sparked renewed demands for gun reform.
How many more innocent American lives must be taken before we say enough? Enough.
The president's Thursday night address to the nation follows the deaths of 19 school children and 2 teachers in Uvalde, Texas, 4 people at a Tulsa, Oklahoma hospital, and 10 at a Buffalo, New York supermarket.
We should reinstate the assault weapons ban on high-capacity magazines that we passed in 1994 with bipartisan support in Congress.
Thursday, a House panel approved the Protecting Our Kids Act, which includes a provision to raise the required age for buying semi-automatic firearms from 18 to 21. If it passes the full House, the measure is unlikely to muster enough support in the evenly divided Senate.
The public is demanding that we take action.
Republicans slammed the hearing as threatening the Second Amendment. Some brought their own weapons.
Here's a Sig Sauer 320. It takes a 20-round magazine.
In the Senate, Maine Republican Susan Collins says a group of senators discussing gun reform is making, quote, rapid progress toward a common sense package.
So we're working, hoping to come up with a bipartisan agreement so we can pass something at the federal level that will actually target this problem.
The Senate negotiations are focused on improving background checks and so-called red flag laws that keep guns from people who could harm themselves or others.
That's Skylar Henry reporting. The Senate again passed no major gun reform legislation after the 20 children were killed at Sandy Hook back in 2012.
Just since last week's shooting in Uvalde, Texas, there have been 20 mass shootings across the nation. Today, police in Tulsa revealed they believe the person responsible for yesterday's hospital complex shooting was targeting a specific doctor, saying Michael Lewis had just received back surgery there a few weeks ago and had called several times since complaining of pain. Tulsa police say Lewis came to the hospital armed with an AR-15 style rifle he purchased earlier that day, along with the handgun he purchased 3 days prior. They say he killed 4 people there, including the doctor, before taking his own life.
Meanwhile, a system failure. It's what one Texas senator is saying about the police response to the shooting in Uvalde, Texas, saying the incident commander, the person in charge of handling the shooting response, was not informed of the 911 calls coming from kids inside the school building with the shooter. That's part of the reason they decided not to move quickly. Adding, Uvalde police did receive that information but didn't pass it on to those in charge. We have some breaking news tonight. The man charged with shooting people at a Minnesota health clinic last year has now been found guilty on all 11 counts against him, including first-degree premeditated murder. The jury deliberated for more than 5 hours today before announcing that decision. Earlier in the day, Gregory Ulrich admitted to setting off bombs and opening fire inside Buffalo's Alena Clinic in February 2021, killing a medical assistant and wounding 4 others. He testified he committed that violence to bring attention to the struggles he faced trying to obtain pain medicine. He is due to be sentenced June 17th.
A farmer from Ashley, North Dakota, who had been jailed in Ukraine since November, has been released from custody. However, he still remains in the country. Kurt Groshans was arrested on charges he plotted to assassinate Ukraine's then agriculture minister. His family said the charges are false and were aimed at silencing his claims of corruption in Ukraine.
New tonight, both the North Dakota and Minnesota branches, the AFL-CIO, met with union reps from Amazon and Starbucks at the Fargo Theater tonight. Amazon Union President Chris Smalls gave a presentation. There was some music involved. A roundtable discussion centered around safety, respect, and other workers' rights.